Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're making a character interest tier list for Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. Big congratulations to this game's fan base. You guys got the rollback you wanted along with a bunch of new content. Let's go ahead and get started. Gran, the titular blue guy, and that's not completely a joke. It might just be because I figured his game plan out quickly, but I really like Gran. His charge mechanic is cool. From level 2 onward, you get a wall bounce combo with it, and I love supers with a follow-up. His is very easy to pull off. Granted, you can only do it at low health, but I imagine it's useful in combos where the opponent ends up too far for the other super's cinematic hit. He also gets bonus points for summoning Bahamut. Jita. So my understanding is that Gran and Jita are the male and female character options in the mobile game, which is why her moveset is very similar to his. I almost like her better than Gran. Her fireball is chargeable, letting it eat a hit from other projectiles. Her unique attack is also chargeable, and you can combo off it from anywhere on the screen. Unlike Gran though, you can't combo into it, so you kinda need a good read or use the full charge's invincibility. Jita also gets bonus points for summoning Bahamut, and even more for having a deadly Wraith super. Catalina. Dang, she's cool. Her specials feel similar to the other two. Visually, I like hers a lot more, especially her fireball with the afterimage effect it's got going on. The suit of armor that appears for some of her moves looks awesome. If I didn't like Catalina herself, she'd probably still rank high just because of him. Charlotta. This character cracks me up. She has such a serious face, but wears this giant crown and stands on a box in her portrait. She also drops like a rock after a jump. Her fall speed is surprisingly high for someone so small. She's basically the melee type charge character, the kind that has an advancing move with barely any recovery, so you want to space them out enough to whiff. So far I've been using normal inputs since they just feel more comfortable. With her, I would definitely use the shortcuts, since I'm not very proficient with charge inputs. Lancelot. The ninja character. His mobility is very fun to play around with. Left-right mix probably doesn't matter much since the game has a block button, but it can still be used to confuse the opponent. The super version of his Rekka, which is very stylish, has great screen carry. He has a projectile he can run behind, his jump distance is the best I've seen so far, and his level 3 can be used in the air. Overall, I think he's really cool. Percival. I'm curious how many Knights of the Round Table are in this series. I love the design of his sword, but I'm not all that interested in playing him. It might be the lack of a cool unique skill. All he has is this command grab whose only purpose is getting through the block in the corner. I'm also not usually a fan of resource characters, but I've been softening up on that. And his doesn't seem that difficult to manage. Right charge is almost instantaneous, and EX version instantly maxes him out. Then there's the meter version, which brings him up to 9. I don't dislike the guy, I'm just not drawn to him. Ladiva. Back when I first saw the game, I thought her modern wrestling moves seemed kind of out of place among all the high fantasy stuff. Then I learned more about Granblue and realized, no, the series is just completely out of pocket sometimes. Ladiva feels too slow for me to main full time, but I like them enough to occasionally play them. Wholesome Muscle Buddy is one of my favorite character types. I'm also a big fan of the mask, especially some of the alternate skins for it. I always appreciate a masked character doing a dropkick, and her level 3 is just absurd. I love how the ref jumps in out of nowhere. Matera. Archer girl with the double jump. She can cover a lot of spots on the screen. Her butterfly can erupt into a pillar, covering the air. The EX version hounds them for a while and stuns them on hit. Her ground speed is pretty lackluster, but the jump along with her projectiles seems like a good combo to help her safely get the spacing she wants, whether it's retreating or getting in close for a combo. Not exactly my type of character. Lil and Bros. These guys are freaking stupid. Despite being complete jokes, their gameplay is pretty solid. Lil can call the bros in for an attack and lock the opponent down. They go away if you hit them, but not if you just hit Lil Wayne. Both of his supers are installs with armor that lets them literally tank anything. Doesn't matter if they get hit with the super, the cinematic will not trigger. The bro pyramid is absurdly fast. You can zip across the screen in an instant and just start wailing on them. For his other super, he has the
giant lady install.
She's got projectiles that do tons of damage, and you can't knock her out until she swaps back to Lil Wayne. So you just gotta play a dodging minigame for a bit. Overall, an absurd fun character in both concept and gameplay. Fairy. Girl's slow as a turtle, but her range is insane. She can hit confirm into a special from so far away. Her speed was kind of a deterrent at first. It didn't feel that great to move on the ground, but her moves definitely make up for it. She's got an install that lets her cancel normals that she couldn't otherwise, though she can even get a combo off her far normals or her dive kick. Like Ladiva, probably someone I'll play around with every once in a while. Zeta. She doesn't really have anything interesting besides the Spear Rush move. Being able to stall and change trajectory in the air is nice, but overall I really don't have anything to say about her. Basaraga. It's hard not to like this guy. This is the best stance I've ever seen in a fighting game. It honestly almost makes up for his slow movement. Sides are awesome, so he gets points for that. This guy isn't a villain, right? Kinda has the vibes of one, but the character bio didn't make it clear. And yes, I've already read all the character bios. Narmaya, the one that made me realize the term stance character can refer to two different things. Since she can swap between two different movesets, I feel like she can be a lot more free with her EX skill usage, since they'll continue to recharge even if she's in the other stance. I really like her command dash. You can cancel it into the other stance's specials, letting you swap in the middle of a combo. You can also cancel into a super to catch opponents attempting to check it. I think she's really cool. Sora's. I mentioned that this series was completely out of pocket at times. This was the character I was thinking of. Unlike other installs, his doesn't run out. Taking hits with this armor stance will give him a badge. The more badges he has, the more defense he has when he activates it. So he can survive just a little bit longer than he normally would. The follow-up to his stance super is really sick, and the initial hit actually guard crushes, so you'll still get the full attack even if the opponent blocks. He is pretty slow though. Zoe. The character seems cool, but I can't figure out how she's supposed to fight with the dragon. It seems like there's too much recovery to follow up with anything. I think the character looks cool, but I need to wrap my head around her intended gameplay. Cagliostro. No need to tell me her lore, I'm already well aware. Doesn't seem to be as technical as other trap-based characters. She can't set them very far away, and their activation is slow enough that you can run over them and block or jump them, which is probably what this character wants you to do. I love how she makes a bunch of intricate things for her special, and then her unique attack is just, let me throw a large chunk of rock at you. It's a pretty good move, to be fair. The charge actually has a hit to it, so you can combo into another level, and travels slow and has multiple hits, pretty much giving you a free approach. Feels a lot more fun than other characters of her archetype, at least to me. Yuel. Her stance is pretty interesting. It automatically counters all mid attacks. Other than that, it just seems alright. It doesn't have anything else that really stands out to me. Onrei. He's got a move that's a lot like K-Dash's Ein Trigger. The initial hit cancels out projectiles and has a bunch of follow-ups. His far heavy attack is probably the farthest I've ever seen an advancing normal go. I don't find him very interesting as a character, but I enjoy his gameplay. Eustace. We finally got someone using an element besides fire and ice. He's like the more grounded version of Matera. He has a bunch of projectiles. The super version of his lightning ball literally hits everywhere on the screen. He has grenades and command dash to help him close the distance. He's pretty comfortable to use compared to Matera, so he plays a little bit higher. Seox. I immediately latched onto this guy because of his design. He looks so freaking cool. His counter might be the best I've seen, since the different strengths aren't height specific. Whether it's mid, overhead, or low, he can counter any of them with any input. You have to be careful when you use the EX version of his claw slashes, since it's the only special he can combo with. I really like his unique attack, though the more I think about it, the more risky it seems overall. It's a projectile, and if you hold the button, you teleport when it hits the opponent. But it's very telegraphed, so the opponent can easily jump it. Still, if it does manage to hit, it's plus on block and on hit. Seox's design won me over, and his moves are stylish, so I'm going to be sticking with him for now. Vera, girl's a yandere, you cannot let her get her hands on you. Mostly because she'll get a permanent buff if she does. Pretty basic specials that power up when she gets her buff, but that buff also makes her unique action one of the most fun. Great mobility, and it can be used for combos. She feels great to play, and I noticed that one of her throw animations is similar to Catalina's. Pretty cool detail since she's the unfortunate target of Vera's affection. Anila, she's a sheep-themed Terry Bogard with a spear. Spears, specifically the bladed ones, are my favorite kind of weapon. Her jumping light is also similar to Zapto's, which I love using to lock people down. The sheep are cute, and she's got a Buster Wolf. This would have been a very easy choice if I didn't gel with any of the other characters. Siegfried, the stoic, long-haired knight with stance-based moves and a giant sword who occasionally loses control of his body, this time in a 2D fighter. And just like Soul Calibur Siegfried, I think this guy is really cool. I'm a big fan of supers that tell a little bit of story. Like in Sam's show where the kid gets possessed by a cursed sword, attacks the enemy, and wakes up to a rain of blood, completely horrified by the scene in front of him. Something similar almost happens here, except Siegfried actually has friends, and the power of their bonds helps him regain his sanity and finish the attack on his own terms. Great stuff. I looked in his character bio and couldn't find what that whole thing was about, so feel free to tell me in the comments. Also, his damage output is terrifying thanks to that buff. You really gotta conserve your bravery points or he'll just melt through your health bar. Grimnir, we finally have a wind elemental, and he's very dramatic. His gimmick is placing these crests down that he can initiate a dash from. He can leap to the one he most recently placed, making it even better for mobility, otherwise not very outstanding to me. Nier, this girl is not okay. I'd say she needs a hug, but I've heard certain things regarding boyfriends and closets. The Major Arcana is one of my favorite themings, so I'm pretty happy to see it's in this series. Death is way more of a threat than other puppets I've seen. Her moves can be buffered far in advance. You can't hit her to make her disappear. You have to hit Nier directly, and forcing her to disappear doesn't have any lasting consequences. Nier can easily just summon her again. The only thing that puts Death on cooldown is running out of the heart stock. Only goes down when you cancel moves or use EX skills. It's basically the Nago blood gauge of puppet resources. She's an interesting character. Beelzebub. I really like how his attacks look. The dark shadowy effect with the gold mix in looks amazing. You can make a wall of arrows, draw people in with this gravity thing, which is plus on block if you're far enough, and combos on hit. and one of his supers stuffs the opponent in a ball and then proceeds to use it as a punching bag. He's got enough visual appeal that I can kind of ignore the slow movement. Belial. I love that his weapon skin literally just gives him glasses. His projectile is really fun to play with. You can alter his trajectory in a bunch of different ways, and have it spin in place. That last one is probably really good for catching opponents who try to sidestep it. His counter works from anywhere on the screen. No matter where you get hit, you'll teleport above the opponent and stomp on them. It can even counter supers. Another fun character. Avatar Belial. I've never been a fan of using health as a resource. This guy definitely has the damage output to make up for it, but it's still not a very appealing idea. And that's our list. After playing for a while, I can see why people said this game deserved a second chance at life. It's ridiculously fun, and there's so much to do. My first day online I just screwed around in the lobby, exploring, playing soccer, checking out the crane game. Then there's the Fall Guys mode and story mode I haven't checked out yet. So far, this has been the best value I've gotten out of a fighting game day one. It's an absolute blast. Now I have 2 requests. Granblue fans, hit me with some more in the comments. I don't plan on playing the mobile game, but I do want to do a lore dive. The characters and setting intrigue me. Feel free to tell me about the memes too. One of my friends already showed me that fishing music video. I'm a Kamen Rider fan, so I'm used to silly, heartfelt, and badass things being mixed into one package. On that note, my other request to the devs, please add Nicholas to the game. This guy looks amazing. Alright, that's all I've got to say. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on future videos. Uni's coming next month. And remember to leave a like while you're at it. Hope you have a great day. Cue the outro.